community. Now who is that? That's us out here. And their government. That's you guys. Okay, that's understood. Okay, the work of the clerk demands, not suggests, but demands versatility. That means she or he can switch from task to task with alertness and, most importantly, accuracy. Okay, another point in the handbook. The city clerk keeps voter records and, that's an and, complies. What does that mean? Does that mean shrug your shoulders? Maybe. Complies means you do it. Complies with provisions of law. Law relating to what? Local and state elections. Now, it's my contention that as a citizen, if I break the most trivial ordinance in this town, throwing trash out my window, growing weeds in my front yard, I don't know, littering the street, I'm going to pay for that in some way. I'm not going to be able to say, oh, it was a simple mistake. I didn't know I couldn't throw trash out my window. I didn't know I couldn't grow blackberries in my front yard. You guys would bring, including you, the brunt of the law to make sure that I abided by it. So why? You would say, well, the aesthetics of the city. We don't want trash on our streets. We don't want weeds in our front yard. Well, what about the aesthetics of a city who allows someone to stay in office who has, by testimony of court and by stipulation, broken several Mississippi statutes? That's a fact. And it doesn't matter what the election came out with. It is a fact that election laws were broken. They were not followed with accuracy. They were not abided by. Now, anybody who has worked the polls can tell you that. The election was, I don't know what you want to say, shoddily managed from get-go to get-go. And that's just a fact. And I could have attested to that no matter who won. Exactly. I filed one complaint with the Secretary of State that had nothing to do with the vote. It had another aspect of that election, which was a farce. And I had to update my complaint several times because as I learned that more and more people had the same complaint. So it's not just the vote, it was the whole process. And if I were your attorney, I'd be doing this, and I'd be jumping up and down as I said these things. And so that's my point. If people like us have to follow the law, then you guys have to follow the law.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ms. Jones. All right, do you have something?
Do you have a response to any of that? Because my thing was piggybacking off of that. Any of the aldermen, because y'all are all, city employees paid by city salaries. We have to hold y'all accountable for what's going on. And if we have another election, how do we know it's going to be run correctly? Because this has cost the city a lot of money because of mistakes made. And those were admitted during the trial. There were mistakes made, very significant mistakes. And what happens next time if somebody isn't properly trained, if they're not following the laws and they admitted that they don't follow the laws, that they were going by their own initiatives, and not the training that they were taught.
Okay. Let's start off. Nothing in life's perfect. We know that. We know things. But the next election, we will be contracting with the county to run any future election. So the county has run elections a long time ago in the city, and we will be returning to do that. So we will contract with the county for any future election.
So what do y'all say to the fact that all this has taken place and we are where we are now and you've lost the trust of the people?
Well, I'm not getting into a court case, ma'am. That's already been settled, and it's a lot of things there that,
We're uncovered.
well, it's a lot of stuff that people think that's, the law is not clear on a lot of things. And if you read some of the things, ma'am, they're contradictory of each other, the law. And the law has not kept up to date with modern technology as far as voting machines and stuff. It still is on the premise of when you fill out a paper ballot. It's not as clear as you pretend it to be. There is a lot of gray area in the law. And it is confusing. It's confusing for everybody. And so, it's unfortunate that things happen, but anyway, so.
Well, I've worked the election polls before, so I know that there are certain laws that must be followed that were violated, that weren't followed correctly. So I'm sorry I don't accept your answer because it is clear cut what's supposed to be done. But I just have a question for you personally. I want to know, do you have a problem with black people? Because that came out in the trial, what was said, and what you pretty much came on there and said when you were on the stand, that you did say that it had to do with the black vote.
That offends me that you would even think that, or anybody that knows me knows that I have worked with everybody and I love everybody. Y'all act like we are racist and do all these things. If you would look at the stuff that we've done, James Meredith and I are really good friends. You go down to the visitor center, who did I put on the wall? I put Miss L.B. Hall and I put James Meredith. James Meredith, when he had his big thing at Ole Miss, who did he invite as his special guest? My wife and myself. When he invited me to his birthday party that we just recently attended in Jackson. And so if you look at this community, there's nothing that's been done in this community that didn't benefit all the citizens. All the streets we paved, all the parks we've done, all the sewage stuff, everything we've done is for our whole community. And so to say that or anything, and what was said, I never said the word black. That was our words. Just like I said, and I've had a lot of black residents who've been to me, and they said the exact same thing, and that's where they're at. That this race wasn't about qualifications or what you've done or what you was going to do. It was about a race about race. And as sad as that is, and that's what I had told her. I said, ma'am, what's disheartening is that you work up here and you do everything you can for the community, and you try, and we were able to bring about $13 million worth of infrastructure and all kinds of things that we're working on into our community. And you do this, and you get out here, and I work with my crews, and a lot of these guys, you can ask any of the guys that work for us. I work with all of them. I get out there and run a chainsaw just like everybody else. I'm not too good to get my hand there. And it's frustrating at the end of the day when you do so much and you try to do things and nobody cares. That's what's frustrating.
And the black guys that work for us is making more money now since he's been more than they ever made. I've been knowing him about 28 years, and I'll be the first one to tell you he does not. He's not prejudiced.
I have one person to say, and that's the only thing I have to say.
Yeah.
And it's sad that y'all think that for what he has done for this community.
They have a right to think what they want to think, just like we
Right.
can.
So why is it a problem when I
I'm
say
gonna
it,
talk over
but
each
you
other.
have a problem when she said it?
I'm saying they have a right to think what they want to think. You can't tell them what they can't think.
Okay. All right, last comment.
Okay, I just have one thing to say.
Okay.
And, that was, when I was in the trial, everybody was telling Miss Patterson to say what she said, but your wife was the one that pointed it out, that I was the one said it. And I was taken out of the courtroom. And I wonder why was I taken out when the whole front seat was the one that said it. And I was way back in the back. And I wants to know, how did she know who to turn out? That's my question.
Well, she not here to answer that.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think you know. That's all I got to say. I think you know because I'm the only.
I have one quick question.
Yeah. I said that was our last comment, so.
Well, I can clarify that if you'd like.
No, ma'am,
You're not gonna let me clarify
He
it?
said it was over.
Okay, we've already had a motion to consider executive session, so we're going into executive session.
Have you contacted Representative Benny Thompson to see if he can get a grant for Gilliland Street?
Man, Benny Thompson, I've had him sign off on those letters every time we've done that. I've got copies of letters from Mr. Thompson where every congressman we've ever had,
Saying
from
what?
the governor on down to the legislatures and everything. And we have not been able to accomplish that yet. If you're talking about Gilman Street, Mr. Sharkey and I have been talking about this for months, how we're gonna do it. And the thing about it, even if we work to get a federal grant, the problem with that is too, from Turner Street back up to the water tower, if you get federal money, those will have to be, handicap accessible. So you gotta meet all those federal requirements. You'll have to put in sidewalks, and those will have to be ADA compliant. As far as the slope, the ramp, there's no way we could actually do it on that part of the street. We've already decided sometime later part of the winter, we're gonna start busting that concrete up. And it's gonna be gravel for a little while, because we're gonna have to bust it out. We're gonna have to dig about a foot or foot and a half of material out. And we're gonna go back with some crushed rock. And then we're gonna put some of this ground asphalt on top of it, so we can have our next paving project in pavement. But we can't pave over that concrete that's busted up so bad, we're gonna have to tear it out. And then I think that we could probably tear it out from the bottom of the hill up to about where the, kind of where you start into the housing complex there. Down that hill where it's so torn up, we get that dug out, we can tear it up. And we're just going to do a section or two at a time, because we don't, we have the street closed. We're gonna tear section 2 of concrete out, dig it out, pack it full of rock, dig another section, till we can get it done so we can get it paved. And that's because doing it the other way is gonna be so expensive, we just can't afford to spend, several $1 million on one street. So, we're gonna get it done, but we can't do it, so not, because that's a wholly different animal than paving a record street. All right, we've already had a motion to consider executive session by Mr. Ellis, so, thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.